This is Ask a Gaucho event, and this event is all about demystifying high school for 8th graders. This event has been around for 2 years, and this is the first time that it's on Instagram. And so super exciting that we can get you all here. Super excited to have you all here. I'm Amy. I'll be your host today. I'm a Casa Grande alumni. I graduated in 2013. Then I went to Harvard, and I'm also the founder of Ivy League Guide, which helps high schoolers stand out to their dream school. Today, I will be interviewing the Casa Grande's principal, Dr. O, and then I'll be interviewing 3 other high school students that you're set up for success when you go to high school. Dr. O has been with Casa Grande for about 5 years now. Nice. And he has a atypical background. You have because you came from a music background as well.
Oh,
so super interesting.
Not my virtual background, my actual background. Thank you for clarifying. Yes. Yeah, I started out my professional life as a musician, trombone player, really. Composer and producer, arranger. I was a music copyist for a while, which if you don't know what that means, it's writing music by hand in a professional manner. I was hired for a lot doing that. But yeah, I knew from an early age that music was my thing, my passion. So I worked very hard throughout middle school, high school, and then into college. And then I worked professionally for about 10 years in Los Angeles.
Wow, yes. And we're going to dig more into that high school experience of yours. So
All right.
let me first get started with a question for you. Dr. O, what was your high school experience like? And what advice would you have given your 8th grade self, looking back now? Sounds like you worked really hard in high school, so I'm curious to hear what that experience was like.
Sure, thank you. Well, and thank you, Amy, for putting this together and for partnering with us. This is pretty awesome. So my high school experience, I really enjoyed high school. To me, it was a fantastic buffet of opportunity, and I just did as much as I possibly could. And, for me, that included, of course, music. I was really involved in theater, musical theater. I was also a swimmer. I swam competitively from the time I was 5 or 6 until all the way through high school. I was team captain on the high school swim team, and just had an amazing time doing that. Boy Scouts, other leadership things throughout high school. It was so full on that I think that my advice to my younger self might be to slow down a little bit and to really enjoy things more and to challenge myself to do things that I wouldn't think of doing. I grew up in a small town in Northeast Oregon too, called La Grande. And, that also meant that there wasn't necessarily the huge amount of different classes, variety of classes and programs that we have here at Casa Grande High School. I'm thinking of our culinary arts and auto shop programs, our graphic design programs. We have a fish hatchery on campus here, the only one in the country. Things like that we didn't have at my high school growing up, but even then I might have just been focused solely on music and the arts and other things like that. So I would just encourage my younger self to slow down and explore other opportunities as well.
It sounded like you explored a lot of opportunities from my perspective. It sounds like you did musical theater, you did swimming, you did leadership. But
certainly. And it's a good point. I'm not sure I would have been able to cram a whole lot more into my day. Swim practice would start at 6 in the morning, so I'd leave the house at 5:30 and not get home until 5:30 kind of thing every day, because we do swim practice twice a day. But it was fun. I had a great time.
Yeah, and it sounded like you really utilized your high school experience well, and overall, like, slowing down for the people that are doing so much is always good advice to have. Yeah,
Thank
sweet.
you.
So thinking about the incoming freshmen, so as the principal, and you've been in education before this as well, and so thinking about the people that are coming into high school, what advice would you give them in terms of advice for common struggles that you typically see for freshmen?
Yeah, so it's safe to say that the ninth grade year is probably the most important. It's a big transition year from middle school.
Mm,
And I can't overemphasize the importance of really staying on top of your schoolwork, so that you don't so students don't feel like they, you know, get are drowning in their homework or big projects or things like that. So just really, stay focused. And you're going from a school, if you're coming from Kenilworth, you're coming from a school of about 800 to 900 students, and then Casa Grande Hunt is almost 2,000 students, plus 150 staff. It's like a small little town. All of that comes with a tremendous amount of opportunity socially, and which can present some new challenges as well. So uh, definitely I encourage our new gauchos to stay focused and to really keep your eye on the prize, which is graduation. Certainly passing all your classes, but beyond that, getting good grades, getting A's and B's as much as possible to stay on track for graduation. I would also recommend that if there's even just a moment where a student feels like they're struggling, to reach out, and that could be certainly a teacher, and also our counselors. Our counselors are here. Our counseling department, our school counselors, of which Mr. Sklove is one of them, is just, those folks are absolutely a phenomenal support system, and they
mm,
work very hard to do just that. And it's not just academic, school-based support, but social emotional support too. They can be a really nice advocate and for our students. So, but again, we have 150 staff here at Casa Grande who all really work for you, Gauchos, and for our community and family. So we want you to reach out, and let us know that you need assistance, or you have a question, or you're just not really sure what to do. Reach out and we'll help you. I also want to make sure that to mention what we call office hours, which it's a little different this year in this pandemic school year, but when we transition back to our normal program, that is 4 days a week from 2:30 p.m. till 3 p.m. All of our staff, all of our teachers are here on campus in their classrooms ready to help students. And you can get extra help, extra time. You can retake a test or a quiz, and or just ask a question, things like that. So that is also a great way to stay on top of schoolwork. I know a lot of students just use that time to do all their homework or get a lot of it done. Work with other students to get homework done too, so that when you go home or you go to a sports practice, you don't have nearly as much homework, and in some cases no homework at all. So you can just focus on your other parts of your life. So you don't have that
totally.
hanging over your head, and you can just keep on trucking, keep on track, and and take care of yourself, take care of business too.
Yeah, totally. I wanted to highlight a couple things that you said. So one is there's a lot of things going on when you're coming from a smaller junior high school and you're coming to a bigger high school. I remember the first day of high school like it was yesterday. It was there's so many classrooms, the campus was so much bigger. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my God, where am I? It's very overwhelming. And there, your advice is to really stay focused on graduating, on using all the opportunities that a bigger school has to offer. And then the second thing that you said, I think this advice is good for anyone, like at all stages of their life, which is ask for help when you need it. I think a lot of people wait too late and they're struggling to ask for help. And I know it can feel like for teachers, they might you might feel like your teachers are super busy and don't have time, but they're there because they enjoy teaching students and they want to help you. And the same thing for counselors. That was one thing that I interviewed Brett before, and and he talked about how he's there especially for the personal stuff, not just academic, but for the personal needs and the emotional needs of
Absolutely.
students.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Like for it, whether that's like physics class, you're just struggling. I had a really hard time in physics class, or whether it's you're having some trouble at home or just socially, reach out, ask for help. There's a lot of staff that they're all rooting for you to succeed, and that's the purpose of a school, is to really help these students succeed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's worth saying that in high school, different than middle school, every 5 credits that you earn per semester per class counts towards graduation. And students need a minimum of 220 credits to graduate with a diploma. So if you don't earn those 5 credits per class per semester, you have to make that up. And that's not the most fun thing to do. So all the more reason to just turn in. You know, one thing that we see a lot too, which is just, again, worth mentioning, is we see sometimes students who might struggle and they're not sure what to do with an assignment, so they just don't turn it in at all. Versus turning it in with maybe it's half done. Not maybe your favorite thing to do, I get that, but get some credit for it, and then that will show the teacher what you know, but also what you don't know, and then they can help you. Teachers want to be there, but if they don't have any work from the student to look at, then they may not know what to do, and then the students will get a 0, and that can really weigh down a grade as well.
Oh yeah.
Again, a big hole to climb out of. So just
Totally.
turn stuff in and keep moving forward is super important.
Totally. Partial credit is better than no credit. Like a
Thank
50
you.
is so different. It's very different than a 0. So making sure you
Amen.
turn in your assignments for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ostermann, for being on here. It's really great to
Thank
have
you.
you. I know it's your first time on IG Live. You
Oh
did
my
great.
gosh, this is amazing. Yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do more events like this. All right. Well, we're going to bring on our next group so we're going to bring on 3 students now. So thank you guys so much for being on, and hope to see you on this channel again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you,
Thank you.
Gauchos. Go Gauchos.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Go Gauchos, Argentinian Cowboys, right?
That's right.
Argentinian Cowboys. Sweet. So now we're going to bring on 3 high school students. And if you are here, Aylin, Maya, and Charles, request to be on the live. These 3 high school students will give you their perspective on what it takes to really be successful in high school and give you more advice around what their experience is like. So I'm going to invite you guys to go live. All right, so I see Charlie, Ilan, Maya, if you're on this call, I would like to, oh, I found you guys. All right, so you guys are all going to come up on this live. I just sent you the request. Super excited to have you on. All right, so I have a couple questions for them. And at any point in the audience, if you guys, hey guys, at any point, if you guys have questions, drop it in the comments, and we'll make sure to answer those questions at the end. Good to see you guys.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Awesome. So as we get started, I'd love to have you just introduce yourself, your name, grade, favorite thing about high school. So for example, my name is Amy. I'm in grade, I don't know, 17, out of college. And my favorite thing about high school was the College and Career Center. There were so many opportunities there, like internships, being able to be involved in my city government. I found out I wanted to do medical law when I was in high school. So love to hear from you guys. I'm going to pass it over to Charles because you're on the right side.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charlie. I'm a senior this year at CASA. My favorite thing about high school, I have to say, is the array of activities you can get involved and do, and that's like my number one advice. No matter if it's a sport or a club or an elective class or an after-school activity you do with a teacher, really getting involved has been one of my favorite things about high school because I've learned so much more about myself and about the school. So, yeah.
Nice. Good to see you here, Charlie.
Did I pass it?
All right, who do you want to pass it? You got to pass it to someone.
I'll pass it to Maya.
Hello, everybody. I am Maya. I am also a senior at CASA. One thing I really enjoyed about high school was kind of like Charlie said, the sporting events and the dances. I really enjoyed that because it was a way for you and your friends to get together, get dressed up, and just have a good time overall, you know. So I really enjoyed that and sporting events, going to them and supporting your classmates, all 4 years, whether they're JV or varsity. It's a great thing to go to.
Nice.
So I guess I'm left. So my name is Eileen, and unlike Maya and Charlie, I'm actually a junior at CASA. And my favorite thing about high school, I think, would be the rallies, especially at CASA. Like, they're so much fun. I always laugh, and I really, really miss them. And I hope next year, when the pandemic's over and everything's good, like, we get to go back and celebrate again, because it's really fun. So.
Yeah, there's definitely so much school spirit at CASA, which is definitely better in person. So next year,
Definitely.
you guys, a good time to be a ninth grader at CASA. So I'd love to start off with an icebreaker question. It's not super school related, but just a little get to know you question. So the icebreaker question is, what's a weird habit or the strangest thing that you've ever done? And so I'll give you an example. As a kid, I loved eating Lay's chips. I still love chips. Like, those are probably one of my favorite things. And I only really like the really crispy part of the chip. So it's like the edges of the chip. So I have a younger sister who also went to CASA and also went to Harvard with me. She like follows me. She's my tail. And the edges of the chip, and then I'd give her the rest of the chip so she'd eat the middle of the chip. And so that's how my sister and I would eat chips together. It was super weird, but that's how we ate chips together. All right. I'm going to pass it off to Maya now.
Okay, I would say a weird habit of mine is having to do a lot with numbers. And so, like, if I'm in the car and I'm setting the temperature, it either has to be an even number or divisible by 5. Or, like, if I'm changing the volume on something, like, it can't be 7, it can't be 9. Like, it's either 4 or 8 or something like that. I think that's pretty weird because people just kind of do it mindlessly, but I, like, pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Maya, that's how my sister has something similar where she needs to do things in 7s. So when she changes the channel, she needs to change, like, if it's the next channel over, she needs to do it 7 times to get to the channel that she wants. So
oh wow.
Yeah, there's other people like you in the world. That's what.
Yes.
Sweet. Who do you want to pass it off to?
I'll pass it to Eileen.
Okay, so I don't know if this is weird, but whenever, like, I'm in class or whatever, like doing homework or an assignment, like, I always space out and I just always have the urge to, like, just doodle. Like, every page that you see on my homework, it's like doodles of, like, happy faces or flowers or clouds. Like, it's literally anything, or just like shapes or like circles, squares, whatever. And so I just do that. I don't know why. It kind of just soothes me, and yeah. That's my weird thing. So I'm passing it to Charlie now because, you know, he's the only one left.
My habit's like weird slash annoying slash bothers me a lot, but I have to hear my car lock at least twice. And even Maya knows this because I
know this.
Even when I hear it like 2 or 3 times, I still need to ask the people around me if the car's locked. Just because, like, I always think that it's not locked, even though I'll hear it like 3 times. I won't think I heard it at all. I have to ask, like, when we're as far away where I would have to walk back to lock it. So
yeah, so making sure it's super, super locked, like double checking. So
yeah.
Beep.
Even then, I normally ask for reassurance. So.
Yeah, no, totally. Thank you so much for sharing. I think we all are super weird in some way as humans, and that's what makes us special. So I want to get started with some questions to help high schoolers and the 8th graders that are going into high school. If the audience members, anyone in the audience has questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll make sure to get to those at the end. All right. First off so this is a question that I think a lot of people struggle with, which is motivation. And so what do you do to stay motivated in high school, especially during quarantine? I think it's really difficult. I know one thing that's helped me is making sure I do walks. Something about moving my body, getting that energy going really helps me stay motivated and my energy up. And so I'd love to pass it to Eileen. And then
Okay.
let me know, how do you stay motivated?
Yeah. So for me, it kind of, I guess in a similar way, I need to like write in planners, because if I don't have my thoughts in like somewhere, like in a piece of paper, like I just forget. And so I'm a very forgetful person. So whenever I have any assignments or anything, I always make sure to write them down and kind of do like a to-do list like every day to make sure that I actually complete the task and I get them done. And also sometimes what I do, if I have like big projects, like let's say I have a English project due like in 2 weeks, then I'll like start it today, but I do little bits by bit, so then it feels like I'm like not doing a lot, but at the end of the day, if it's like a little in a long period of time, like I get it done, and I feel like that helps me stay motivated and do my schoolwork. So
Yeah, two things those are really like super smart suggestions. So one is writing down things, so getting it out of the head, and then just externalizing it. I super love checklists. I have a planner.
yes.
I think the Gaucho, I don't know if you guys still have them, but I know Casa had these like Gaucho planners, and I would use those all the time. And then the second thing you said was breaking down big projects. That's super smart, because sometimes like maybe a research project is super overwhelming, but if you can say, okay, like I'm going to research like 2 things on this or 2 sites on this today, it feels like you're making progress, and that's a great way to stay motivated. Sweet. Who do you want to pass it off to?
I'll pass it off to Charlie now.
How do I stay motivated? It's a mixture of different things. There's like a drive I have like in my head to get my schoolwork, so there's not really something that I have that motivates me besides like knowing the ending goal and knowing what I want to achieve and knowing that I need to get this grade to keep this GPA so that I can apply to college with this GPA. So just like doing whatever I can to remember that there is an ending goal and this hard work will pay off. Was something that really kept me motivated over the 4 years of high school, because junior high is only 2 years, so it's easy to stay motivated because it's like you're done and then the other half and then you're good. But high school is much longer, and there's a lot of like the rigor gets even harder than junior high does. So definitely like after every year, just like telling myself like good job and like making that in and like keep going, because you will eventually like get to college, was like a big motivator for me. So
totally. So it sounds like keeping the end goal in mind, like college, like this will help me get there. Yeah, no, that's great. I definitely did the same thing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be out of my parents' house soon, like in a great school soon. That definitely motivated me. All right, passing.
Yeah, both of you made super great points. I would have to agree with everything you said. Personally, for me to stay motivated, I set like personal goals for myself, kind of like Eileen said, write them in a planner or write them down somewhere. And also I would recommend like focus on your own achievements, because I tend to compare myself to people around me, and you need to, like, you might be doing all these things and this person might be doing all these things, and you might not feel like you're at where they're at, but really you've made a lot of progress. And to go along with that, make sure you reward yourself. So some things like I do is like, if I get this math assignment done and the Spanish done, then I can go hang out with my friends tomorrow, or I can watch Netflix and relax for the rest of the weekend. So you have to make sure that to stay motivated, like give yourself little carrots, you know, it's okay to treat yourself to things. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I wanted to highlight a point that you said about not comparing yourself. I think that's super hard not to do. As humans, we tend to benchmark ourselves like, oh, how am I doing relative to this student? But you can all have different personal goals. So one personal goal could, like, someone might be wanting to become a physics major or something. So like they're just going really good and really hard in their physics class and getting really high grades. But you might be taking it just because it's part of your regular curriculum. So, and then rewards, I think that's something that's it can be, sometimes we do all the work but we don't tend to reward ourselves, and so definitely making sure that we give ourselves a reward keeps us going. So really, really great. All right.
I think we got
And
a question
then,
a while back. I don't know if you saw it.
yes, we had a question from Phoenix, which was, what is a good first elective? I think when I was in ninth grade, I definitely took Spanish, and I took acting. I actually waived HI, human interactions, so I could take a second elective.
Yeah.
So an acting class, oh, that was really great. I'm so glad I took an acting class. What did you guys take as your electives? Pass it off to Maya.
I took band. I did band fourth grade all the way through middle school, and then so I still enjoyed it and I wanted to be a part of it. And I remember going to the Eastside Band Festival and seeing the Casa Grande band and wanting to be a part of that and learning more about music. And so the teacher, Mr. Millard, he is absolutely amazing. In a normal year, twice a year during your 4 years, you would go to Disneyland and perform in a competition. Everyone is super supportive around you, and I think having that common ground of music really just brings everyone together. I will pass it to Charlie.
First electives I took were freshman year were ASB student government and art one. I enjoyed both of them. I did waive out HI, but looking back on it, I don't think I would have done that, just because I know that HI sets up a really good foundation for high school and how you can get involved in the community. And I feel like a part of me is bummed looking back on it that I didn't take advantage of that opportunity, but also leadership set me up to learn more about the school, learn more staff, get prepared for becoming an upperclassman even freshman year, knowing the campus, really set a good foundation for what I could achieve during high school. So both, it worked out in the end. I'm here today. So and I'm going to pass it to Eileen.
Okay, so for me, freshman year, it was a little different than Charlie's and Maya's, but that's okay. I actually took 0 period PE, so then that means I had 3 slots for elective. So then I took HI, I took Spanish 3 for native speakers, and I took Art 1. And I loved all of them. HI, like Charlie said, it's such an amazing class. Plus, everyone loves Miss Moquete, so if you go to Casa, you're gonna love her. She's such a great teacher, great person. Everyone loves her. And up to this day, like, I'm still friends with her. And I know, like, even like adults who had her like years prior, like they're like still friends with her. So that's how great she is. And yeah, you learn a lot in HI. I know a lot of people like waive it, but the majority of us, we take it because it's also paired with Success 101. And so, Success 101 and Geography, I believe. And so you could take either one of those. And yeah, I mean, I really liked art too. Miss Richter, I had Miss Richter art. I learned a lot with her. And I feel like taking art freshman year, I would have been able to like develop my drawing skills, because I feel like that class helped me a lot with like future projects, you know, whenever like we have like projects like to draw on and stuff. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I remember this from art 1 in like freshman year. And then in Spanish, well, you know, Spanish is the language, so I feel like a lot of people just go for Spanish, but it's always good to be to have a foundation to be bilingual. So
yeah, no, for sure. And a lot of colleges, especially top colleges, want you to take languages for at least 3 years, even 4 years. So that's for sure. I took Chinese. I don't know if Chinese is still there, but I took Spanish and no more Chinese.
I wish it was.
I would have taken it.
yeah.
Yeah, I know it's really tough. What's Success 101? Is that like a new class? Haven't.
It wasn't there when you were there. It's kind of like a
I don't
class
think so.
that
It could have been
talks about, yeah, it talks about like, well, I'm in Success 102 now, so it's kind of like part one and part two. So I took it freshman year. And freshman year, like Miss McNee, she prepared us for like interviews. I know like for our final, I remember we did like this one interview, like 101 with like a person, because, you know, like you're going to do an interview one time in your life. So I really appreciate that. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm going to mess up. But, you know, I did well on it, I think. And they gave you advice too. So it's good. And
Oh,
I had to like dress up or everything. So yeah, they give you like advice with like in the workplace kind of. And then we also
wow.
like she made us do activities to find like our skills, like our hard skills and soft skills. So I feel like the more you know about those, the more you'll development and maybe like found new ones throughout high school. So
Mm. That sounds so useful, like so
mhm.
practical. I don't know if we had that when I was around, but definitely wishing that I took that class. Sweet. I know we had a question earlier. Tavisha was asking, what if reward systems don't work for you? Like you don't have that self-control. I felt this way. I think in junior high I was like very enforced. Like I would do my homework on Fridays so I can get Saturday, Sundays without homework. I don't know how I was able to do that. And in high school, I definitely wasn't as, I would say, like, yeah. I'm curious to hear from you guys. Like, do you have any tips if reward systems, if you're like, oh, I won't watch
Mm,
Netflix, but then you just like go ahead and you watch Netflix anyways. How do you enforce that?
I would
let's see.
say restructure. Um, take Netflix like as an example as you were using. Take Netflix out of the picture and maybe like have your mom change the account password.
Yeah.
Structure your whole reward system. Maybe start doing your homework at a totally different time. Like if you used to do it right after school, do it after your sports practice or your extracurricular in the afternoon. I had to do that sometimes, definitely with distance learning. I used to do it like right after, and now I have to do it like when I can fit it into my schedule because with distance learning, it's hard to stay motivated online, as everyone knows. So that's what I had to do, but I don't know if anyone else has any.
Yeah, I
Yeah, changing
mean,
the password.
similar to Charlie, like I feel like having a set time for like your schedule, because I know that a lot of kids like to do the work like at night, but like that doesn't work for me, you know? So I have to kind of do it around like 1 or 3, you know? And so I feel like
Mm.
maybe that could help, like finding the right time for you to like be motivated. Because I know like right after school, maybe like we're all tired and stuff, so like it's understandable. But maybe like around 4 or 5, maybe like just set your phone aside too, because oh my God, being on your
Yeah,
phone like right next to you, it's such a distraction. So maybe like
Totally.
lock it somewhere else, like in a cabinet or something,
they
and then
have.
just try to like focus on your homework and, you know, play some music in your computer if you have any. Just, you know, find ways around it, and I think you'll do great if you do that.
Yeah, I want to agree with both of you guys, and also say have like someone else try and hold you accountable for it, whether it's like Charlie said, your mom or your friends, your teachers. Like I don't know if you guys were on earlier, but Dr. O earlier said office hours. I think that's a good way. You're still kind of in the
Mm.
school mode, and it's just a half an hour longer in a normal school year.
Mhm.
And you can go, and your teacher is there to help you a half an hour on work. You can get started and like Eileen was saying with the whole phone thing, like lock it away. I think there is like some sort of way to actually like have your phone locked. So even if it's next to you, you can't go on it until a certain time.
Mm.
Um, so I would say those two things for sure.
Yeah, definitely getting other people to keep you accountable. I did that a lot. So like for instance, if I had a essay that was a month away, I might first develop some topics, schedule some time with my teacher and say, okay, like I'm going to discuss the topic with my teacher on this day, or like I'm going to do an outline and discuss it. And so it was a deadline for me to do it. Also removing distractions, like you said. I took out the TV in my room. No TV, no distraction, and that helped a lot. Just like, even if it's unplugging the TV, that can help as well. Just making it harder for you to do those things. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
We had another question from Chelsea. Is freshman year the hardest year? What do you guys think? Was it the hardest year?
I would say people might say that just because it's also a transition year into high school, and you're getting used to being around other students. It's a bigger school if you're coming from Kenilworth to CASA. You're going to see new faces. There's all these teachers, all these classrooms. You don't know necessarily where you're going for the first couple of weeks, and you're having to handle all the 6 classes and maybe, like Eileen, a 0 period, trying to figure out what you really want to do in these 4 years. But I think it might be hard in that aspect. And if you're taking like the English honors, obviously it's an accelerated course. So if you're taking that, it might feel a little bit overwhelming. But I think overall, the teachers are there to help you, and all the students around you are going through the same thing. So if you think of it in that way, it might not be as stressful. So yeah, that's my advice.
I don't know. Should I go?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
I would argue that freshman year isn't the hardest. Every year there is hard things about it. Freshman year, I would definitely say, was a big like social change where you have to do a lot of growing. But something about that I figured out about high school is like there's so many schools that feed into CASA that at the beginning of freshman year, everyone's kind of just getting on the same level to try and like prepare you for the rest of high school. So I didn't really find freshman to be the hardest because it was at the beginning, it was a lot of just like review and welcoming you to high school. And freshman teachers normally like know their stuff. All teachers know their stuff, but like they know that you're coming to high school. They know the questions you're going to have and the approach that you're going to be seeking. But I would probably argue junior year was the hardest for me because the academic rigor gets harder. You're finishing up high school, you're starting upperclassmen, becoming an upperclassman, and you're moving into clusters, which we have 4 at CASA. And so your history and your English classes are starting to get tailored to what you want to like continue into college learning. So that was shift along with like the academic rigor that was like required for junior year, if that makes sense. But that was just my experience.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about clusters? What is that, and how do the junior high school students, like, how do they use it? What do you do freshman year about them, or nothing?
Yeah, so the cluster system actually is only effective for junior and senior year, so freshmen don't have to worry about that, but they'll be talked to about like the end of sophomore year when they're signing up for classes. But we have 4 clusters at CASA. One is Health Career Pathway, which I am in, International House, American
Voices.
Yeah, and the last one is Innovation. And they have electives tailored to it and teachers that have had like real world experiences in those fields teaching it. And so they are really interested in the curriculum themselves to be teaching it. So they get the students even more involved. And so like we learned a lot in the US history last year. We learned a lot about the health side of like the Civil War or all those different topics. So, and then there's also an AP cluster for students that take the AP US history. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, this kind of relates to a question that we're getting here. Is there a career day or something similar? How did you guys figure out what you wanted to do after high school? So kind of related to that, like how do you pick what cluster you want to be part of, or what kind of resources are there at CASA that helped you figure out what you want to do post high school?
I would say that the College and Career Center, what Amy was saying in the beginning, it's such a helpful tool. Well, I don't know, I doubt any of you guys know what it is, but it's basically this little building by the library. Actually, it's kind of like in the back. It's kind of hidden, to be honest, but someone will guide you to it. And Miss Alston runs it, and it's kind of like what it is, right? It's a college and career center where she has a lot of guest speakers come and from different colleges, and so they do, it's free for everyone is welcome, and so you can just go, and if you're interested in a college you can just go, you know. And also, like Charlie was saying like earlier, sophomore year it kind of prepares you with like different topics for your clusters, because there's like 5 counting AP. And so like for me, I'm an I house, so I always knew I've always been interested in like cultural things, so like around the globe. So for me, it would make more sense that I would go into I house. So we learn a lot of about the world. Like I know we learn about like World War II again. We kind of like the same thing, but like from different points of view, if that makes sense. So like Charlie learned from like the health center or the health career,
Yeah,
and we were learning kind of like the problems and like the cultural politics and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the same topics, just kind of from like a different point of view.
I have for international house. I don't know about that, but that's why I like around the world stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Maya, what house were you in, or which cluster, and how did you choose that cluster?
I am also an HCP, and I knew that I was interested in math and technology, and my mindset when I was deciding was how can I apply that to like the medical field and like help others in that aspect, because I just saw myself more in that cluster than the other ones. It was just a little more suiting for myself. And the counselors are there to help you. And like Eileen said, the College and Career Center, literally every single resource you need, Ms. Alston is there. They might be on the live, but it's very helpful. I did go to some of those college talks, and it just helped me before like I started applying to kind of figure out, you know, because you can't apply to all 100 colleges, like so it helped me like narrow down my decisions and kind of figure out, do I want to go to private school, state school, and yeah, so not only is it colleges, but career. And so they're going to help you figure out what you're going to do after high school, whether it's in one of the clusters, whether it's not, or anything else.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely remember going to the College and Career Center, and they had opportunities for like volunteering. They had some career assessments, so I figured out like I wanted to do medical law in high school, and they also have scholarships, which is like a super great resource. So thank you guys so much for being on here. I'd love to kind of hear from the people that are in the audience. What's one thing that you've learned from this talk? And I'd also love to kind of hear you guys. So Eileen, Maya, Charlie, what's one thing that you kind of learned from each other on this talk, or even things that you've realized about yourself by answering these questions that you are going to take away from this talk? So give you a second.
Yeah, so for me, it would be something that Maya said earlier about have everyone like comparing yourself to others. And I tend to do that a lot. Excuse me. I tend to do it a lot. And I feel like everyone grows at a different pace. So going back to like, what do we want to do when we're older? It's okay to not know what to do, because honestly, sometimes you get in a point in high school where you're just like, oh shoot, like I'm stuck. I really don't know. And that was me one day too. I was like, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a nurse. I want to be all of this. And it's confusing, but it's okay. Like Maya was saying too, how there's like counselors, there's friends, there's teachers, there's like a lot of resources at CASA. And I feel like that's what makes it a great space or a great school to be at, because it doesn't make you feel as alone. And so if you ever are struggling, how Dr. O was saying earlier, just like speak up, because that can be a really hard thing to do. But if you do it, you'll just feel a lot more better. Yeah.
Totally. There's lots of resources at CASA. You have counselors, you have your teachers, you have Dr. O, the principal. And other students like you guys, like coming on here and sharing your advice. And so if at any point you feel like you're struggling, or just know, one, it's normal. It's really difficult to go from like a small junior high school to like a big high school. It's so different. There's the campus is like bigger and everything.
Yeah.
But people are there to help you, and so reach out for help. Sweet. I'm gonna pass it over to Charlie.
One thing I have like noticed while we're like reflecting on high school and sharing my experience, and what I've started to notice in the last couple of weeks is that high school goes by really quickly. And so stop and take a breath because it'll be over in a minute. And I like always heard that advice from like seniors, and I worked with a lot of seniors freshman year all the way through. And I was like, but it seems like it's so far away, graduation. But to think about like graduation being like 3 weeks away now,
Crazy.
moving on, not being
3
able to
weeks away.
day. Yeah. So high school goes by quick, so stop and enjoy it and get involved, and yeah.
Yeah, I would have to, I'm going to piggyback off of Charlie and say I've learned a lot from him from this, and also just being a really good friend. He's super involved, and Eileen, you're super involved, and even though you're a grade younger, you're still doing all these amazing things. So get involved in your school, get to know your teachers, go to the sporting events, go support your classmates, go to the band and choir shows and the acting shows and all the plays. It's you're not going to get a lot of it later on. Like, not only just go to the games, but get involved in the sports. You know, there's a own little community in itself when you're a part of a team, and I think that's really special. And after high school, not a lot of people continue doing those sports, but you will always have those memories. And that is one thing. Make those memories. You know, you're only in high school for 4 years, and like Charlie said, it goes by really fast.
Oh yes, for sure. Getting involved, like you guys are all super involved, and I think that makes you like high school more, is being involved with your teachers, talking to your teachers, going to the college and career center, being engaged. And so thank you guys so much for joining today and
Thank
sharing all your
you.
wisdom. I've learned a lot about staying motivated. I think those tips I still need to incorporate into my life, like making sure I'm planning and giving myself rewards. Probably gonna go eat ice cream after this. Yes.
Oh yeah.
That sounds
Yes.
like a plan.
And then thank you so much for coming on. And super excited to have you guys on as Gauchos next year. For sure. So have a great, is it Thursday? It's Thursday. Have a great Thursday and
Thank you,
a
Amy.
great
Thank you,
weekend.
Amy,
Thank you
so
guys so much
much.
for coming on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.